Hello there, good morning, it's dawn here in Tenerife, and I have some information to share with you, which is nothing unusual, but I feel I've waited so long to share this, so here we go. I don't know about you, but one thing I really don't like is when I've been lied to, and I've been aware that we've all been lied to for so long, and it starts in education, it begins in schools, and the lies we've been told are phenomenal. And I'm going to focus on a lie that I don't expect you will ever have come across in any other format, location before. So this information is pretty unique. And it's because I'm a microbiologist, I can say this. That's right, I trained as a microbiologist at university, spent 3 years studying, I spent the year before that practicing, and afterwards I spent a year practicing in medical pathology. But what I have to share with you is so far-reaching in terms of its implications. And what happened to me is literally about 2 weeks ago. I'd only been here a few nights, and I woke up in the middle of the night with a revelation which I made into a film, and I've only shared with one other person at the moment. And that film really is the basis of what enables me to make this film. So what I've got here is some visual aids. So I've got a couple of bottles with water. So that one is almost full, and this one is just over a third full. And what I've got here is I've got some soil. So I'm going to make this little demonstration up for you to show you something which is so important for you to grasp. And all your lives you've been lied to on this. Microbiologists haven't. We know something other people don't know, so I'm going to put a little bit of this soil. Doesn't matter how much goes in, frankly. There we are, put a little bit of this soil into this one. And a little bit of this soil into this one. Now while I'm doing this, I will say to you that 1 cubic millimetre of soil contains hundreds of millions of microbes. In other words, so many microbes you can't hardly even begin to imagine. It's a mathematical number. It means something to mathematicians, but for folks like us it's just a huge number. So there we are. I've put some soil into this bottle, and I've done the same into this one. Going to put the lid on and give it a bit of a shake. There we go. So we've got what looks to you like some dirty water in there, haven't we? Yes, we have. And the same in this one. There we are, a couple of bottles of what looks like rather dirty water. That's interesting. The choice of that word was very deliberate. Okay, now here's the thing. You see that amount of what I'm calling dirty water in those 2 bottles? Well, that represents the amount of microbes in and on your body, my body, the body of every human being that's alive, that's healthy. Yes. What I'm about to say is this. You've been lied to all your life because you've been taught that microbes, viruses, bacteria are harmful. They're things to be frightened of. And the only thing that microbes ever do is they attack human beings and cause diseases. It's a lie. It's the greatest lie you've ever been told. Actually, you are made up of microbes. Now the reason I'm using this amount is if I was to extract all the microbes out of your body, and each microbe is so small, they're so tiny you can't even imagine how small they are. They're smaller than you can look at with a normal microscope. You've got to have a really good high-powered microscope, and you've got to do fancy things to be able to see even bacteria. And bacteria are not the smallest of microbes. Viruses are so small we could only see those using an electron microscope or a scanning electron microscope. In other words, up until about the middle of the 20th century, no one had even seen a virus. We had to wait for the invention of the electron microscope to see them. Now here's the point that I'm getting at. These microbes are essential for your life, but more than that, they're actually a part of you. They're on your skin, they're in your body, they're in your gut, they're in every part of your body. Your body is teeming with microbes. So you've got hundreds of billions of cells in your body, and they're all alive, processing, doing their different things. And as well as that, you've got a number which is so great, it's way, way, way bigger than hundreds of billions. Far bigger, because each microbe can be measured in terms of nanometers, millionths of a millimeter. Just try to get your head around that. It's impossible, isn't it? So all I can say is they're so small, and if I was to extract all the microbes from one human body, it would actually make up that bottle and that bottle full. So here's the big breakthrough revelation. You are not made of cells, you're made of cells and microbes. The microbes are you and me, just as much as the cells are. So you are actually an uncountable number of microbes. So that's actually what makes you up, as well as the cells. And the microbes and the cells are in a perfect dynamic harmony as long as a person is well. Now you all know by now how much I love Korea and Korean culture and Korean TV, but what I love about Korea more than anything else, and I'm going to put it next to these bottles, this is kimchi. So this is vegetables, particularly this has got cabbage, carrot and radish, and I've made a special mixture of nutrients including salt, raw honey, ginger, turmeric, chili, other spices, and those vegetables ferment and produce something which is absolutely teeming with microbes. So what I do is I put this stuff that is teeming with microbes, it's a fermented product, and I have at least a teaspoon, sometimes a dessert spoon, with most of the meals, 2-3 times a day I'll have that. And I've been doing this for years, which means I'm feeding my what we call microbiome. So this is the technical term. You are your microbiome and your cells, and there's far more microbiome than the cells. The cells are the minority. The cells are a tiny minority. The huge majority of what makes you up is microbes. And here's the thing. The soil I put into these bottles, just 1 cubic millimeter, hundreds of millions of microbes. So what I'm trying to explain to you is that the soil teeming with microbes, those plants teeming with microbes, your body teeming with microbes, that kimchi teeming with microbes, this is actually what makes up a healthy person. So I'm going to go over here. Can you imagine the utter stupidity of going out and buying a hand sanitizer and putting it onto your skin? That's right, yes, this is what everyone's being ordered to do, coerced, compelled to put something on their hands which actually, it says it on the bottle there, 70% alcohol. That's what they tell you. What they don't tell you is part of that alcohol is actually not ethanol, which is, well, there's a whole story about ethanol, but it's ethanol is like what you call alcohol, what you have in wine, beer, spirits. It also contains methanol, and methanol is poison. But it's undeclared. So in other words, they lie to you about what's actually in this. So there's methanol, which is an actual, really significant poison. People are putting this on their skin. So I'm going to go back to when I was at university studying microbiology, and the professor, dear old Professor Hughes, he told us all, he said, "You're studying microbiology, don't you realise your skin is covered in microbes?" And he looked at the girls and he specified and pointed out to the girls, I bet you use this product called Physohex. Physohex was like a skin sanitizer that was available way back in the 1970s. You put this on your skin, don't you, to kill the microbes on your skin because you think that's going to stop you from getting spots. It's the other way around. The spots have only developed because you're putting these harmful chemicals on your skin. What people need to do is they need to go and get dirty. What children love to do is they love to play in mud. And I spent 17 years working for an organisation called Green and Away, and people used to come out into our field. We'd turn a field into a tented conference centre. One of the most favourite things we had was the mud bath. We'd dig a big hole, fill it with water, and people would get in wearing their swimming costumes or nothing at all, and they would cover themselves in mud, and they would feel free and alive because they'd just been covering themselves with an uncountable number of microbes. This is why one of the things I like to do is I like to get my hands dirty. I like to get my hands in the soil and grow plants and make my hands dirty, and there I'm covering my skin with more microbes. So here's the ultimate secret. The secret is nature is teeming with microbes. Give a young child half a chance, they'll go and get their hands dirty. In fact, they'll get their whole body dirty if they allow them. They'll stamp in the puddles, especially the muddy ones. What we've done is we've separated ourselves from nature. This is the greatest crime humanity has committed in our entire existence. We've got imbeciles and morons telling us to put this shit onto our hands. I want to be straight with you. Back in the 1970s, I never used those products. They were targeted at females. Very sexist of the pharmaceutical manufacturers that are making those substances. But it's all wonderful today because actually there's no sex discrimination. All people are told to put this shit on their hands to kill the microbes. So I'm inviting you to do the opposite. Now, when I train people to be shamans, I actually go the whole hog. I show them that one of the best things you can do, apart from eating organic food, of course, which has not had harmful chemicals killing the microbes in the plants, it's also your organic food. It's also wild food. We go out and I show people wild plants you can pick and eat. And what I do is I go into nature above dog pissing height, and I put my tongue out and I put my tongue onto leaves. Now, it's something I have to be careful to do out here because some of the leaves are actually sharp and I don't want to cut my tongue. But here's a plant which is safe to do so. So this is something I do on a regular basis. I go out and I find a leaf that's above dog pissing height and I lick the leaf. I even made a film once called Have You Ever Kissed a Bluebell? I'm pointing something out of overriding importance to you. Every time I lick a leaf, every time I kiss a bluebell, every time I put my hands in the soil, what I'm doing is I'm introducing new microbiological diversity into my body. You see, what my body wants is the greatest diversity of health-giving microbes possible. Now, here's the thing. Supposing you have used a sanitizer, effectively what are you doing? What you're doing, it's rather like you get your skin and you peel the top layer off. If you were to peel the top layer off your skin, you'd have a really genuine concern, which is that harmful microbes would get in there and cause infection, and you'd be absolutely right. Our skin is our protector. It keeps harmful microbes away from us, but it's supposed to be covered in the beneficial ones. And the beneficial ones you find in nature, in the soil, on the plants. Here's the thing. If you strip the health-giving, life-giving, life-affirming microbes from your hands, you then are creating a desert-like condition on your skin. And if there are any harmful microbes around that you would find, for example, in a hospital, places where there are far too many human beings crammed together, you have to be careful about toilets, obviously, need for hygiene there. If you were to be in places where it's possible to get the what we call pathogenic, the harmful microbes, well, what you're doing is you're greatly increasing the chance of an infection by killing the beneficial ones. Then the harmful ones will say, hey, there's nothing going on there, let's colonize that area, and that's what produces the spots and all the rest of it. People who use hand sanitizers a lot know that what they do is they dry out the skin. The skin's not supposed to be dry, it's supposed to be hydrated, moisturized. Women know this, men often don't, but moisturize are very important. The best moisturizer in the world is spring water. When you wash your hands with a little bit of spring water, it's wonderful. If you wash your hands in chlorinated water, chlorine of course kills off the microbes, the beneficial ones as well as the harmful ones that might be found in water. Again, you create yourself a problem, which is why I drink spring water. I'm not fortunate enough to have a spring on the land where I live, so I have to wash in tap water. Not ideal, but that's what I do. So, do you see what a massively big subject this is? So going back to university and the professor, I'll give him his name, dear old Professor Hughes, telling all the women in the room, so every time I tell you that your skin of your body is covered with microbes and you go, ew, what that is actually life negating. You're actually negating life. That's an anti-life thought form. And he was working hard against all the indoctrination and the mind control and the pressuring, and trying to break through to these women and saying, look, dudes, dudesses, microbes, you need them, they're essential for life, and just look how much there is. Just look, that's more than 2 litres worth of solid microbes. I mean, there's so many you can't even begin to imagine. So we're full of microbes. It is our nature. And I want to introduce you to a Japanese proverb, and the Japanese proverb says this. It's a very weird way of saying things. Japanese like to say things in a weird way. They say the body and the soil are not two. Body and soil not two. What are they talking about? What they mean is the body and the soil are one. So when I go out into the nature and I put my hands into the soil, I'm actually becoming one with nature. When I lick a leaf to make sure it's above dog pissing height and it's not sharp, it's not going to cut my tongue, I'm adding to my microbiological diversity of my microbiome. There are people that even say it's a good idea when you wash your vegetables not to scrub off all the soil, because then you're adding more microbiological diversity to your microbiome. So there's a particular song, and I think it's the Beatles. So there I was, 3 o'clock in the morning, making this film, which was full of these original insights. And there's a particular point I started to sing, and I was singing, I am alive, I am alive, I am alive. And it's an old Beatles tune from the 1960s. But that's the truth. The ultimate truth is, you're full of microbes, they're alive. Go and buy or make kimchi, it's alive. Get your hands dirty. As a special treat, make a little mud bath and get in there and roll around in it. Let your children get dirty, because this is what life is. Life is nature. Life is being one with life, with microbes, because actually it's the microbes in the soil that give it the fertility. It's the chemical fertilizers that they put on the soil which actually damages and harms the microbes, and it's all the sprays and pesticides which they use which kill off the forms of nature which are supposed to be on and in the soil. So this is the ultimate lie you've been told. You've been told that microbes are harmful, and you've been told to be frightened and scared of bacteria and viruses. And the only bacteria and viruses that you need to be scared of are the ones that will start to colonize your body when you've actually been so divorced from nature that you've actually weakened your natural microbiome. Your natural microbiome should have an infinite diversity of microbes in infinite combinations. That's a bit of Vulcan philosophy there for the Star Trek fans. Not for nothing, all that stuff. So the way that we can ensure life and health is by connecting with nature, by feeling that sense of being one, all one. That's actually our natural state. And to let go of the fear, and the best thing to do with that is to dispose of it responsibly. Don't allow it to contaminate our environment. Don't ever put it on your body. So what do? Let's get practical. There's a global scamdemic going on at the moment, a global hallucination, isn't there? So what I do in the global hallucination is I'll go up to the hand sanitizer, which I'm presented with, and I'll pretend to put it on. And if I can't get away with that because there's some zombie standing in front of me making sure I do it, I step away from the hand sanitizer. I put on a pair of plastic gloves, thereby creating more plastic, creating more of a sea of plastic. Don't like doing it, but I will not compromise on this one. This is something I will not compromise on. Your skin is your life, and your microbiome is your life. All the microbes on and in your body is actually what keeps you healthy. So no hand sanitizer for me, and I suggest you boycott it. If you want to turn it into a big protest drama, that's up to you. I like to just go quietly about my life and just do what's right and don't do what's wrong. So that's what I suggest you do. Keep away from the toxic chemicals, organic food, wild food, licking leaves, kissing bluebells, hands in the soil, have a mud bath, let your children get dirty, and realise what a funny thing, that conditioning. I go, oh, he's got dirty, oh dear. Celebrate a dirty child with dirty fingers. That's the thing about when you become a gardener. You get mud, you get soil in your fingernails. That's good for the microbiome, isn't it? Well, I could go on like this all day, but I'm not going to do so, because for goodness sakes, I've got my life to live. I'm going to go to the market, buy a load of organic vegetables, have a party in my body, which means I'm going to eat a load of wonderful plants. I'm going to go have some breakfast and have a big spoon of kimchi next. I think that's my next thing to do. So great love to you. Celebrate life. Remember, we're all alive. We're all alive. We're all alive. And so is our microbiome. Great love to all the microbes on and in you and me.